What's going on, guys? We got Remnant 2. It has been 2 years since Remnant 2 came out, which is really mind-blowing to me. I feel like it's been out longer than that, but 2 years feels super short in hindsight. Anyways, um, I've posted so much Remnant 2 over the past year and a half. Originally, I posted a lot of Remnant from the Ashes content way back, just bosses, little boss fights, but Remnant 2 especially helped my channel grow pretty significantly. I'd say some of my most popular videos are Remnant walkthroughs. For example, I do know there's a few of them. I feel like I was probably one of the first channels to at least make a solid walkthrough of some of these areas about how to get certain items, specific items, stuff like that. But anyways, I love Remnant 2. I, I haven't played it in a minute. It's been a few months, I'll be honest. But, I think when it comes to games like this, all good things have to come to an end, right? And I'm not saying it's the end of Remnant 2. Here I am right back on it. But all I'm trying to say is games like this, after you've kind of done everything, it really is good to just set it down and start something else, right? So I've been playing other video games. I've been having fun, but with the 2 year anniversary of Remnant 2, I figured why not jump back into it. I wanted to kind of talk about my journey with content creation and Remnant in general, but I also wanted to just do a little let's play, right? We're going to start a new profile, so I have this one right here, 290 hours. I've done a good majority of at least everything I want to do. Right, so I got a lot of the main profile, a lot of the main classes, a lot of the archetypes, stuff like that. Got all those stuff maxed out. Got a lot of the rings, a lot of the amulets, a lot of the weapons. Not all of them, but as much for me to care about, right? So I've done that quite a bit. I had a profile originally that had about 300 hours. I stupidly deleted that one by accident. I was doing some hardcore runs. When I ran through my hardcore ones, I died a few times, and I started just like purging a bunch of my profiles, and I accidentally deleted this one. As far as I know, I can't recover it on PlayStation, so it is what it is. This is a while ago. But anyways, I made this one, ran it through. I got a few hardcore profiles that I've gone through, but we are going to start fresh, start a new one. And I'm just kind of going to, if you're new to Remnant 2, hopefully this will be a nice little intro for you. You can pick up some things along the way. You can kind of, because this is kind of a refresher for me, right? But hopefully it is a new journey for you if you clicked on this video. If not, you might be a returning player like me and you just want to start fresh. Maybe you just want to listen to a nice little playthrough. But we're going to get into it, right? I've been talking for a minute now. I don't really care too much about this. We're just gonna go right into it. Right? Let me change my hairstyle. We'll do that. Let's do a little. I love the stash, right? We'll do the stash. Let's get some. No, I like this hairstyle. Let's do gray. I always like doing old. If you know me in person, I am only 28, but I got a pretty good set of gray hair right now. I'm getting old. It's also genetics, but anyways, it is what it is. Let's add some scars. Let's so we're gonna skip the tutorial. If you want to do the tutorial, I'll leave that to you. You can watch it. You can go through it yourself. It does have some pretty good information from here and there, but I'll let you go through it if you want to. We're gonna skip it though. And so, first things first: survival, veteran, nightmare, apocalypse. A lot of people. The Remnant isn't like other games, right? So if you hop into a game on Nightmare Apocalypse with low-level gear, low-level stats, low weapons, no abilities, stuff like that, like no mods, you're going to struggle. So I highly recommend you don't even start on Veteran. If you know what you're doing, you could start on Veteran, but honestly, your best bet, start on Survivor, get the feel of the game, get a good idea, and work your way up afterwards. If you want to start experimenting and getting some better stuff, then work your way up. But if you're starting fresh, starting new, new class, new profile, Survivor. That's the way to do it. Now, let's talk about your class selection, your archetypes. Now, first things first, a lot of these you're not going to have access to when the game when you first start the game, right? A lot of these you earn over time. Once you earn them in your profile, you can select them later on if you're starting a new game. But for example, Archon, Invoker, Warden, those are DLC. That's DLC. This is kind of like an end game. This is a DLC as well. This is one you get from later areas. I'll kind of try to go through my best abilities and show you guys how to get this stuff, where to find it, etc. But let's talk about which ones I think are some of the best if you had just the starting classes. So starting classes, you're new to the game: Handler, Challenger, Hunter, Medic. If I were to recommend a class to you, like right off the bat, I would say Medic. Oh, forgot Gunslinger. How could I forget Gunslinger? If you're really into shooting classes and just, you know, shooter games, stuff like that, Gunslinger, you can't go wrong with that. Really high damage output, high chances for stuff like that. Medic is just your all-around good class. If you're playing with friends, really good with healing capabilities. I really like this Saw machine gun that you start out with. It slaps. But Medic is always my best bet, I'd say, for starting class. I like the weapon. I like the skills that you get as you work your way up, and it's just solid all around. Hunter, really good as well. I mean, honestly, you can't go wrong with any of these classes if I were to be completely honest with you. Handler as well. You get a little pet companion that can revive you, can pick you up at least once per run, but we're going to start with Medic, right? But if you start your own profile, you start your own run, let me know what you start out with, and yeah, you know, let's just jump right into it. I think I've talked long enough. Alright, so first things first, let's kind of talk about the area. Let's talk about what you have access to, what stuff you should be checking out, and overall, what's what, right? So, got a few starting traits to begin with. There's not a whole lot. You get more as you progress, you get more as you level up, you get more as you explore. There's going to be a ton more that you can get, more than this, right? So, let's talk about what we got right now. Skill cooldown, mod power generation, max stamina, max health, and this is going to be your archetype trait, which if you max it out, then you have access regardless, you know. So if you max it out for your actual class, you have access to this trait regardless of if you start switching to other things, right? So first things first, this is your Marine archetype. Later on, we'll talk to a merchant that can give you the access to have a second one, but that is a little bit later. I think they actually changed that. It's pretty funny I mentioned that, but they changed that. Anyways, so this is going to be your first archetype right here. You only have access to one skill, but you unlock the next one, I think, at about level 5, and like the next one at level 10. I guess it tells you right here. Yep, level 5, level 10. They have their own different abilities. It doesn't mean the last one is the best one. It is kind of personal preference. Same with these perks. You unlock perks as you start leveling up your class. They have different abilities, different bonuses that they'll give you. They are pretty straightforward though. So you have a damage perk that is kind of focused on the damage, team perk, utility perk, and a relic perk. And the nice thing about Remnant is you can always look and read a lot of details for everything, right? Like I go over this lock symbol, it'll tell me when it's unlocked. I go over this, it'll tell me when it's unlocked. It'll tell me the specific details of what it does exactly, stuff like that. It's really cool. Anyways, this is all your gear. You have a helmet, body armor, leg, and your gloves, hands. So if you got a special edition of the game, you can have access to different sets of armor right off the bat. Some of these are heavy, some of these are like a medium, some of these are light. It all personal preference, how you want to play the game. I'm not going to go too deep into it. I think there's a lot of people that kind of just ruin the fun for this game, right? when they're first starting, because a lot of people, they care about the numbers a little too much, if I'm completely honest, right? I think the best way to experience this game is to go through it. If you're struggling, maybe sit down and try to figure out a good build, center something around how to make something, right? But anyways, starting weapon, your long gun, you have a secondary, your handgun, and then along with that you have the melee weapon. Now, this is a, I don't want to say it's a shooter primary game, but you know, you're going to be using your melee weapon quite a bit. These are rings, you got 4 ring slots, and you have your amulet slot. As we explore, we'll come across some, we'll get some, we'll go from there. Anyways, got inventory items, special abilities, items, stuff like that. A lot of really cool stuff. But anyways, before I get too deep into it, let's get something right off the bat, right? So you got a flashlight. You can inspect specific items, and you're going to be inspecting things in the future. But first things first, let's look at this flashlight. If you look underneath, there is a code, right? So let's look at that. You see the number right there, 0415. Now, you could be thinking, what do we use that number for? And I will show you. We're going to work your way up here. There's going to be a safe that we can access that has some pretty good goodies for, you know, your starting build, your starting run. This one right here. So remember the code 0415. And oh yeah, just hit the open afterwards. Okay. We got a key, cargo control key. Like I said, I haven't played this game in such a long time, right? So bear with me. This is a refresher for me as well as an introduction for you guys. We're going to come back to this later, right? I'll go over everything. But what do we do with this cargo key? You're going to actually run all the way down here, because this is where you can access your cargo key. A little bit of a trek, but I promise it is worth it, right? Not this one. Forget about that, guys. Forget about it.
It's over here. So of course, you know, there's this cargo shipment area. There's going to be a door all the way back here that we can use this key on.
Boom. Open sesame. What do we got here? Got the MP60. So this is actually a handgun. Can go in your handgun slot. Service pistol, don't get me wrong, is very good. The MP60 is super solid. I'll kind of show you a little bit of that as we're running around. So, I mean, as a handgun, having a fully automatic is really nice. I will say that. Anyways, that's a nice little weapon you can get off rip at the start. Super useful. It is pretty solid all around. But we're going to actually get into the bread and butter of the game. So, first things first, there's going to be a merchant over here, right? And, you know, you can have some dialogue. There's a lot of dialogue in Remnant 2. I do recommend the first time, talk to all of them, listen to all of them, exhaust their dialogue. Sometimes a lot of these people are going to give you extra goodies, extra things, right? So this person specifically is a crafter. As you explore and do specific things, you're going to get relic dust, and some of these cost scraps, but you got mutators, which go in your weapons. All this stuff I will show later. I'm just kind of showing you right now. Got upgrading, downgrading. I'll show you all this stuff later. We're going to come across this later. Right now you don't need to. It doesn't matter. Let's go over to here. This dude. Same thing. Exhaust the dialogue. There's going to be a lot of it. A lot of these have really interesting stories, but for, you know, progress purposes, I'm just gonna skim through it, you know. Alright, so after you talk to this dude, you have access. He's kind of your dude, right? He has special weapons from other classes already available that you can get your hands on. Now, some of these are only available for specific classes, but you can get them here. Some of these are challenge oriented, so Hero Sword, World's Edge, Smolder, Star Killer, Repulsor, Spore Bloom. You don't get these until you start beating the game on specific difficulties, so these won't have access to, but if you were ever interested in, that's how you get them. Now, let's talk about the firing range. Firing range, you come over here, and you can mess around with your builds, right? It has a really cool damage DPS system. It'll tell you how much your input, output, really cool stuff. That's if you're really focusing on how to make your build as good as possible, right? Well, let's skip through it. We're gonna go upgrade our weapon. We're gonna at least upgrade the bone saw once. Now, I'm gonna go into more detail later, but as of right now, let's just upgrade that once. Let's get this little icon.
I spell my work. Let me then now. What do you? Fine by me. Just don't waste my time again, or else.
P60. Boom. We got that right there. So, right off the bat, let's hit the main crystal. This is going to be your place that you access your crystal and go from point A to point B. Now, there are going to be about 4 different areas you go through, right? But you're always going to start with one. It is randomized. It can be Losomn. It can be 2 other areas. I'm not going to go too deep into, you know, what's what, because I don't want to give spoilers, but for Losomn, there is a few different areas that it can start with, and this is actually a DLC area. We're still going to go through it because, like I said, it's all randomized, but let's go ahead and give it a try. After you do this first area, we'll go over some of the stuff that you can come across, some of the stuff that you could be dealing with, and, you know, let's go from there. Alright, we exited the loading screen, and here we are. Now, if you click on the little, if you're playing on PlayStation, or whichever you're playing on, you have access to a map. Your map is going to be very bare, but as we explore, it's going to become unshaded. So, you know, cool little detail, right? Now, all these characters right here, all these people, they're going to be not hostile. You can make them hostile. I leave that up to you of what you want to do. But just know that in a game like this, some of your choices do have specific outcomes. So do keep that in mind. I'm just going to let you know that. But anyways, let's just go right into it. So this is going to be a locked door. There's no reason coming over here. You can try to unlock it yourself, but I don't want to deal with that whole animation right there. But it's, you know, let's keep going. So NPCs, a few dialogue options, you can talk to them. There is a sewer area over here. We're not going to go over here though. We're going to go down this way. So, fun little detail, there is a few different outcomes you have over here, right? There is going to be an individual giving a speech, and during the speech you could listen if you have the right outfit, but we don't got the right outfit, so these people are going to get pretty hostile later. Now, fun little thing, right? I don't think I have the right weapons to do this, but if I were to shoot his hat off, you can get his hat. Pretty cool little detail, right? There we go. I got it. Alright. Let's go time, right? Ow. Oh man. There we go. So, nice thing when it comes to this game is, you know, your outcome is always different. You're gonna get different bosses, different... They got different prefixes, right? And for example, this one has a nice little cloning ability. It will clone you if you don't dodge it right. So, just keep that in mind. See that little shock effect right there? Make sure to try to do your best to dodge it when that's happening, because he will clone you. And your clone is just pretty annoying, alright? Anyway. Alright. That is done and done. So, you call these red ones, call them an elite, right? Now, with the elite, they're just enhanced versions of basic enemies. Sometimes they got completely different attacks and playstyles, but, you know. Killed this mob. Now, when you start playing this game, you start learning there are certain areas that don't change, and there are certain areas that do change. Now, an area like this over here, not much is going to change. It's going to stay pretty similar throughout multiple runs. But what does change is the loot that drops sometimes, right? Sometimes there can be specific items you can get, so it is always nice to explore in this game. I think that's the best thing about Remnant, is it really, what's the word? Really incentivizes exploring and really getting through every nook and cranny, right? Anyway, so let's check out this hat that I got from the dude, right? Boom. That's stylish right there. Anyways, we move on. A lot of these can be dead ends, but we're not going to explore every single nook and cranny. But, like I said, once you start running through this game, you're going to start figuring out that a lot of these areas may not change exactly. Which is kind of a good thing, because you start to speed run, maybe not speed run, but you come across these areas a few times, and there's no reason waiting to, you know, waiting to go through the place if you already know what's going to happen, right? That's just saying. So that's another elite right there. Oh, so we call the red ones apparitions. I used the wrong choice of words. My apologies. But as you get to an edge, don't forget you can jump across. Don't forget to do that, because there's a lot of platforming in this game. A lot more than you'd think. Now, another nice little thing. I'll show you guys when I get more ammo, but when it comes to this game, sidestepping is your friend. Sometimes you want to, you know, you think you want to dodge everything that is coming your way, and you do, but just do a little pivot, right? Boom, dodged. Easy as that. Sometimes I think people overthink what is coming their way and how to dodge it, how to counteract it, and the best thing to do is just go about it, right? Oh, there we go. See, sometimes dodging is not your friend. Just a little sidestep is the way to go. Anyways, go kill this dude. Alright, so we'll explore some of this stuff again later, but for right now, We're gonna go through this exclamation point. So when you go through an area in Remnant and you look at your map, there's going to be these gates, these doors. This is a question mark, so you know we don't know what's on the other side. There could be a few different areas, but there can be different doors, right? And some of these doors do not have exclamation marks. That just means it's a side area, right? So it could be an area that has maybe a boss, a special item, a special thing that going on, but it isn't going to progress the story. Now you could get a really cool mod from it, a really cool weapon item, but this one progresses the story. That's what we're gonna do. So what could it be? So if you see on the little top hand corner of the map on your top right, it will tell you Sunken Haunt. So I do know the boss that we're going to fight here, but you know, let's experience it together, shall we? Don't forget to hit the crystal, recharge your hearts. Hearts are very vital. But the nice thing is with this class that I have right now, you got healing capabilities without your heart, so that is always super useful. One thing, this area is crazy, right? I love the aesthetics. I love how this game looks. Every area is completely different from one another. Like they're not the same whatsoever. Even if I had Losomn again at a different area, it's probably going to be different. But we got these burning dudes. I guess they're oiled up, but they aren't on fire until you shoot them. You can't always just use your melee. If you have like a bow or something, they won't light on fire. A little detail. But this is why I love the saw. It just has such a large capacity. You can just unload. You can really just unload. But that being said, the nice thing too, if you have a mod like the hot shot, there are also other ones, right? For other elements, I guess you could say. Like there's a poison, there's electricity, there's a few other ones, but purple item, we're gonna go over there. But anyways, the nice thing I'll show you about the hot shot or any of these ammunition ones is it completely recharges your stuff. Ooh, so we got the Stone of Revelation. Let's go ahead and take a look and see what it does. If you have empty slots, it's automatically just going to equip this stuff in there. So increase mod generation and mod damage by 5%. Bonuses doubled against exposed targets. So exposed. There's a few different ways you can get exposed on enemies. I think primarily the hunter class can do some exposing. There are specific weapons that do that as well. I don't think we have anything right now, but either way, we still got extra mod generation by 5%. Every little bit counts, right? And if you start doing specific builds that cater to whatever you want, right? I mean, the builds are endless. Melee damage, there's movement speed, there's mod generation damage, there's mod damage, there's primary weapon damage. Like, the possibilities are really endless. You can really kind of build whatever you want to, right? Oh, so if you heard that little sound right there, that means a horde is coming your way, right? So be on the lookout, because there's probably going to be enemies coming from multiple locales, right? Just keep that in mind. Sometimes it might be real easy to not be paying attention, and you get hit by something like that witch lady that just, you know, came up from behind. Time to show you what this mod does, right? Boom. Automatically reloads my weapon, and I got fire rounds now, so unload on this lady. This may not be the best mod for this area because the fire is weak against these dudes already on fire. Go figure. Who would have known? But, you know, there's that. Don't forget to be picking up your ammo along the way. Also, this game can be very vertical, so, you know, do your best to explore. But nice thing, there's different bosses for each run. There's different bosses depending on sometimes the outcome, or at least they might have different play styles depending on what you do. Like, there is a lot of variety in this game. You know, not every single playthrough is exactly the same, and that's what I love about Remnant, right? Now, here comes another elite. Dead before we know. Dead. Nope, not just dead. There we go. Dead. Alright. Here comes another horde. So we got some scraps, we got some luminite, we got some relic fragments. I'll talk about relic fragments in a bit. As of right now, we're just kind of collecting stuff. After we get to a good spot, I'll kind of show you what does what, right? Ow. Pop a mod. You know, be generous with your mod. It just has a little cooldown. It's not like you're using anything specific when you do it, but don't forget, a lot of these enemies, elites, enemy types will have weaknesses, or at least weak spots. When it comes to like a regular humanoid individual, headshots are your best bet. The nice thing when it comes to this game too, like I said, these runs can be different in terms of the enemies, the rings you find, amulets, like all that stuff can be different every run. So even though this run might look exactly the same as a previous one, you could still come across different things. There is another thing I'm going to mention as well, that usually within, we'll call this area a dungeon, right? So this is the dungeon, this is the main area. There's usually going to be, I'll call a sub area, a sub dungeon within the dungeon. That's the thing that usually changes up on you. So there are different things that can happen within these dungeons. Specific dungeons have a few different choices, so there's always that, and that's what I mean, like not every run is going to be the same. So this one I call the pit. I'm sure there's like an actual specific name for it, I kind of forgot, but yeah, like I said, some of these dungeons, you know, the layout could be different, but at the end of the day, there are going to be certain things that don't change. Like the sub areas, they're usually going to have a pretty similar layout. So let's finish out the last few of these enemies, and I will show you what we're going to do, right? So gonna run over to the side area. This is gonna get us to this little spot over here. Slide underneath, and boom, we're at a different area. Don't forget you can crouch. We need to do that if we want access to this. This is where some of that platforming comes in handy, right? There's gonna be a lot of this. Best bet, I just jump straight across. Boom. See, I think there's still enemies up there trying to hit me, but it is what it is. Shiny Hog Lure. So, let's take a look at what it does. Reloading grants 20-25 round power from both weapons based on percentage of magazine reloaded. So, got a few different mod things going on, right? So, that is pretty cool. We'll have an idea of what kind of build we could make with that. But, nice thing, you know, we're going to kind of like, I'll run through how to make a solid build with you guys, right? Because I don't want to like just completely hold your hand and say this is what you have to do. I think that ruins the fun in this game. We're gonna go through it together. We're gonna experience it. We're gonna have fun. Here comes a aberration. He has spiteful and vortex. Vortex means he's going to suck you in. So, you know, make sure not to get sucked in. Right now I'm just unloading on him, but watch out for that kick. Yeah. And watch out for the kick. Almost dead. Oh, oh. Let's heal. There we go. Boom. Now, these mutators are generally going to be the same no matter what you get. We'll go over those in a little bit once we get to a safe spot. Killed the boss a little too fast. Door still has to open. We'll go over this, right? Because this is a whole thing separately that is quite the learning curve. Not the learning curve, but it just takes a while to figure out what exactly is going on against what. But that was the sub area. We killed that boss. We got a little mutator, so let's actually take a look at that, right? So we got Dreadful that we got from the first boss. Twisting Wounds, which is another one. Increase rain damage of this weapon by 1% to bleeding targets. So, cool little mutator. So that's a nice thing. You got mods that go on your weapons, and you also got mutators. Mutators are kind of... So there's a lot of build stuff that you can do in this. It's always just super cool to me. That's why I like Remnant. Like I said, the builds are endless. The possibilities are really endless. Don't listen to these people that are like, you have to do this build. Oh, if you're doing this, you're not making a good idea. You know? I'll be honest, that's what kind of steered me off of this game after a while. Making so many videos of builds and stuff like that. People were so quick to judge and so quick to just automatically disregard stuff that you're doing, right? Cool little event that's going on, right? That's another elite, if you couldn't tell. Kind of let them just go at it, because it's really cool to watch this, right? Ow. Okay, well, he noticed me, so... Ooh, so we leveled up our actual archetype. It's going to give us access to our damage buff, damage perk, which is really cool, right? You know, there's cool little things you can do with that. Now, there's going to be different colors on the map, right? If it's a red glow, that is usually something that is going to be specific to progressing the story or area. That was a blue one. Blue ones are generally going to be these tomes, which are an extra trait point. So, you know, I'm just going to do Vigor, because it's just a nice safe bet. Safe thing to do. You can do whatever you want. You want extra stamina, extra stuff like that? Go for it, right? Who am I to judge? Who am I to say what you can and can't do? You do you. Now, another thing I will just say, if you come across these, take a look, get close. Sometimes something special might happen. You know, I mentioned that there's little sub-dungeon areas within these dungeons. That is something special that could happen. I won't say exactly what happens, but I'll let you experience that yourself. Too good. You know, don't forget, just because this game has, you know, guns, melee slaps, right? Melee does really good. Done melee only runs, and those are really fun, so just letting you know, right? Be wary of those shotgun wielders. Shotgun wielders pack a punch. So, here, take a look at the map, right? I think we've done a good job at exploring. Maybe there could have been stuff that we missed, but I'd say we did a decent job, right? But after this main area, after you get across from point A to point B, there's going to be a little checkpoint, and after this comes the boss. So we're going to take on the boss, and then we're going to go from there. Now, as you know, we already kind of fought this boss in the form of an elite, but this one has a lot more health than what we experienced with the elite. Still the same moveset. No. 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 Oh no, I'm doing terrible. There's gonna be little piggies, right? Take care of these pigs. They will drop ammo that is pretty vital for this boss fight. And look out on the top, because this boss is going to jump down. Oh, there we go. Three headshots, right? There we go. Now I can come down. Almost dead. Alright. So, after killing our first boss, we're going to get a material. And what we're going to do is take this material over back to that really rude lady at the hub at Ward 13. So, let's go take it over there. Let's go hit this checkpoint. And let's see what's after this. Don't forget, there's always going to be some chests. These chests got a bunch of goodies. Iron for materials, for upgrades. Scrap for, it's a currency for everything. Buying items, upgrading your stuff. And Luminite crystals. Luminite crystals are an upgrade for special weapons. So there's basic weapons, and then there's special weapons. Luminite is also used for a lot of the special things. So getting extra mods, stuff like that. We'll go over through all this, right? Here we have the next checkpoint. Let's hit this. Let's go to the ward. Let's reset a little. Maybe we'll upgrade, look at some stuff that we got, and then we'll keep adventuring. gonna go back to Ward 13. Like I said, I think, there's a lot of stuff to take into this game, so I think your best bet when you start it is to really just go one thing at a time. You know, there's no rush. There's a lot of this game to take in, so when you're doing this, just there's no rush. Like I said, every playthrough, you're not going to get everything in one playthrough. You're going to you're forced to play this game multiple times to get everything in the game. And sometimes you may not get everything in the game, and that's alright. But anyways, let's go see what we can get from this one person. So, wait for her to go put down what she's doing.
Worth my time.
That'd be worth my time.
Did you bring me?
We can craft. And we got Creeping Mist. Creeping Mist is pretty solid, but it also goes really well with the Hot Shot we got, so we're definitely going to get that. So as you can see, required materials, the Hex Wreath that we got from killing that boss, Luminite Crystals, 5, Scrap. I'm going to go ahead and get it.
Bye.
Now it should automatically equip on my gun. Yep, so we got it on the MP60. Now, let's go upgrade just a little bit. Now, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, if there's a specific set of weapons or items that you like, upgrade everything one at a time. And what I mean by that is if you got this specific setup, right, just do +1 on everything. I know it might be tempting to say, well, let me upgrade my bone saw to level 5 and then everything else is still level 1. You're just gonna make it a lot harder for yourself. And all I mean by that is, if we were looking at the area that we just explored, right, there is probably a number 2 next to the top right on the map, and all that means is in that world it's level 2. So a lot of these enemies are level 2. You're gonna cross. All I'm just saying is the damage output isn't going to be similar, right? So if you're over upgrading weapon, and usually these areas match your highest leveled weapon, and it doesn't need to be something equipped. Just be whatever you have with you is going to be the highest level. Kind of explaining in a bad way, but just think of it. You got a +5 weapon. You come into this next area, and the area is going to be +5. So that means all the enemies you're going to come across are in like that +5 level. They're going to do +5 damage. There's some actual numbers to it, but in the shortest term, they got like +5 damage. You got a +5 main gun, but you run out of ammo. You got to switch to your handgun, and it's a +1. You're not going to be doing as much damage, nearly as much damage as you should be doing or you want to do, and you're just going to struggle. So make sure you're upgrading one thing at a time. You're not over upgrading a specific weapon, and that way, if you also want to experiment and try other things, you can kind of jump around a little bit easier if you're not over upgrading. So definitely save some of your scraps. You don't need to upgrade everything right off rip, but +1 for everything right now. It's a good little thing. If we're struggling, we can upgrade it a little bit more later, but I suggest doing it just a little bit at a time. There's a little merchant lady right here. You can talk to her. There's going to be Mudtooth over here, another merchant over here, but you got to exhaust dialogue. There's going to be this guy over here as well. Same thing, exhaust the dialogue. Now, they all have their specific things that they sell, right? He sells a lot of consumables. He sells a lot of rings that are dependent on what you're doing in your playthrough. So, just letting you know, a lot of these he will not have when you're playing. But as you progress, you complete specific areas, these will pop up. If you do specific things in hardcore, these will come up as well. If you do specific things like that, like a lot of these are gonna appear later on. They're not gonna appear in your first run, but as you play, as you do certain things, you get access to them. This lady over here, and we'll go over all this. There's a lot to take in, like I said, but just a little bit at a time.
Damn it, they said. You make feels like anything. Yeah, no, maybe not. But so hey,
Now, this one has more hearts, more relics, has a few different things that you can get from them as well. Usually, if you're coming through this area, they have scrap for sale, which is your upgrade materials. So iron, there's different versions of that later on to upgrade your weapon to a higher degree. Those will come across the higher levels you get as well. But if you want extra materials to upgrade, this lady Cass is the one, scrap merchant.
Don't be a
But
stranger, okay?
we'll go through all that in due time. Anyways, I think that's a good little stop for right now. This is a little part one of a Let's Play. I hope you guys enjoy it. If you're new to this game, make sure to leave a like, follow, subscribe. I have a lot of different walkthroughs of different areas, and as we're going through this, I'll do my best to kind of explain some of this stuff for you. And, let's just have a fun time. If you're new to Remnant, I welcome you. And if you're a returning player like me, welcome back. But anyways, 2 years Remnant. If you're a past member, past player, what were some of your favorite moments in this game? Just let me know in the comment down below. But otherwise, thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in a part 2 for sure. We'll keep this profile going. We'll keep through these runs. But I hope you guys have a good rest of your night, good rest of your day whenever you're watching this. And we'll keep going with this next playthrough. So, bye-bye.